This is my audience. Hello, my name is Dana Kalaman, and I will be telling you about the different effects of social isolation on children. There are a variety of different ways that a child can become socially isolated, most of which are against their will. Daily, children become victims to kidnapping, child neglect, bullying, and other factors that can lead them to stray away from human contact. Social isolation can cause issues for children mentally and physically. In some cases, children have been isolated for so long that the strange ways they are adapted to are incurable. Today, I will be informing you of how serious social isolation is on a child. I hope that you are able to realize that how serious social isolation is for anyone and everyone. Isolating a child can affect their social skills, affect their ability to perform bodily functions, and can affect their mental health. Social isolation is devastating. Whether it is a child or not, the victim will be affected for the rest of their life. To get things started, I will briefly define social isolation. According to Medscape, social isolation is defined as a state in which the individual lacks a sense of belonging socially, lacks engagement with others, has a minimal number of social contacts, and they are deficient in fulfilling quality relationships. There are many different factors that contribute to social isolation. The simplest ones are those that cause a person to stay within the limits of their home. According to noisolation.com, these factors could be long-term illness, disabilities, transport issues, or domestic violence. If the isolation hasn't been caused by a physical factor, it may have been caused by a social occurrence. These could be factors such as depression, social adversity, or becoming a carer for a loved one, all of which could create barriers that limit a person's social networks. Social isolation among children can be caused by a variety of different factors. A case study from the 1950s describes the effects of a child who was abused and neglected. Jeannie was one of many children born from the father who was intolerable of loud noises and did not want children. Because of this, she fell victim to severe neglect. She spent the first 13 years of her life strapped to a chair in a homemade straitjacket. If she made a noise, her father beat her with a baseball bat. When found at the age of 13, Jeannie had no physical abilities above those of a toddler, and she could not speak. She was found weighing 59 pounds and moved with a bunny walk, unable to straighten her arms and legs. Jeannie initially was only able to recognize her name and the word sorry. Today, Jeannie is living in an adult foster home in California because she is unable to live on her own. Very little is known about her current condition other than an anonymous individual saying she was happy. This case study came from psychologytoday.com. The case studies overall give you an example of how severe social isolation is. Each child adapts to different movements they are accustomed to as they grow up. In Jeannie's case, she had rarely ever had her arms or legs straightened, so her muscles adapted to that movement as a child, and they could never be straightened even through adulthood. Each isolated child is accustomed to their own ways, and they are all different. The severity of each isolation case causes different physical effects on each child. I believe that mental health and social health are more important than bodily functions. If a child is unable to socialize, even after he or she is no longer isolated, they are most likely going to be unable to socialize for the rest of their life. Other people and their behavior influence social behavior in other humans. When a child is isolated, they have no influential character in their life, leading to no social skills. According to No Isolation, when a person is socially isolated for their whole life, they will perceive a situation of contact as a threat to their well-being. When a threat occurs, a person begins to stress. Frequent interaction with people when it is out of the ordinary can lead to extreme levels of stress. Stress heightens anyone's risk of developing cardiovascular disease, elevated blood pressure, cognitive deterioration, and mortality. All of these side effects can follow a socially isolated person into adulthood, according to noisolation.com. Isolation puts your mental health at risk for many diseases. According to Mental Health Connecticut, loneliness puts you at a greater risk of cognitive decline, onset Alzheimer's disease or dementia, depression, neuroticism, hallucinations, and anxiety. It can also get in the way of everyday functions such as sleep patterns and disruption of focus. Social isolation is crucial to anyone, no matter the age. We began the speech by determining the definition of social isolation. We also learned how social isolation can severely affect a person's ability to perform normal bodily functions, affect their social skills, and affect their mental health. Social isolation occurs around the world on a daily basis. Most of the time, no one is doing anything about it. By listening to this speech, I hope you have learned the importance of social interaction and how detrimental lack of interaction can be on a child's mental and physical health.